He's a motivational speaker, talk show host, master of ceremonies, known professionally as Teju Babyface, television producer, stand-up comedian, and an actor. He is widely known as the creator and host of the Teju Babyface Show. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, he attended Corona School at Papa, Federal Government College, Ogbomoso, and the University of Lagos. Teju inspires the youth to create possibilities in this classroom edition of True Story. Be inspired. When asked by one of the youth how he got himself from someone unknown to be known, this is what he has to say.
You have to find a mentor. You have to find somebody that is already established and recognized in the area you want to be. But the thing is that, like I said, when you do meet that mentor, you must have been doing something. There's a book I have called The 3 Success Secrets of Shamga. It says to start where you are, use what you have, and do the best you can. When I wanted to be a comedian, when I decided that this acting thing was not going as well as it should go well as in the University of Lagos, we were in Fagua Hall one day, myself and my friend Kayode Peters, who I'm meeting up in a few minutes. When we were watching the window, we were looking at the window. When we just saw Honda Accord pass, I said, hey, what a tea in here. That's TA's car. And we're all in really like, and TA just bought his second car from doing comedy at that time. Therefore, so and so, therefore, I decided that I had the skill, there and then propelled by my hunger to drive. Because you see, in the university, my one dream in this life, if you had asked me as a University of Lagos student, the one thing that I wanted in life, I didn't want money. The only thing I wanted was a car. Anyway, so I decided that, okay, as acting wasn't going as smoothly as I wanted it, I had to be a comedian. And therefore, I started right there in school. I started doing hall shows, and I started to do departmental shows, and I started to do all those kind of shows. So that when eventually I was introduced to the man that would be my mentor in comedy, Basoj Taria, he had asked me, the first thing he asked me was, what have you done? So I told him I did philosophy end of year party, I did Miss Morimi beauty pageant, I do those things in school. He said to me, tell me a few jokes. So I told him a few jokes. Then he said to me, great. The next time you're performing in school is when? I said, I have a show coming up in about 2 weeks. And he said to me, great. Because he lived beside me in the lab. He said, great. Remind me when it's time. So the day before that, I went to him and I told him when the show was. Because there were no cell phones in those days. And I told him when the show would be. And he came to see the show. And he saw me performing. So your first step, you're going to do everything, is to take it from your head to what you can do by yourself. What you can do by yourself, whatever it is you want to do by yourself, which is basically what he has done in recording that show that he played for us the last time. You see? So that if he came to me and he asked me for help, if we're able to connect and he showed me a show, then I'll be able to tell him what to do. You can't just be moving around with ideas. They say ideas rule the world. Well, where's the palace of ideas? If you want to go and pay homage. Ideas may rule the world, but ideas are intangible. So you have to bring it down to the first stage. You see, once you start to run, then you will find the other things that you need. If I had to tell you exactly what I did to get where I am, you'll be amazed. Every time I found help with somebody and they asked me what I wanted to do, I didn't tell them what I wanted to do. I told them what I'd already done in regards to what I want to do. So you want to go into merchandising and you're a doctor. Well, what merchandising have you done up to this point? You cannot. My father told me one morning, I don't know if I shared this with you. My father said to me one morning when I went to see him. Well, when I say I want to see him, I forget what it was because we live in the same house at that point. And my father was brushing his teeth. Did I tell you that? He was brushing his teeth. And the way it was that you'll be in the parlor. My father's parlor, so to speak, and this door led into the shop. Yeah, so there will be curtains, so an old school kind of parlor where they use curtains to cover doors. And so if you enter his apartment from his sitting room, he had his sitting room. So if you enter the apartment from his sitting room, the first place we go to his lobby, because the lobby was, he had a wash basin and his kettle and hand-towel racks and all those things. It was a big space. Then inside that space was a toilet, a separate room and bathroom. So my father had the habit of brushing his mouth. Sometimes, and if you wanted to talk to him, you could hear him but you couldn't see him. So he was brushing. And he used to do one thing that used to so okay, I think I told him that I was going for a show. To which he had replied, I was in the university that time. Show I don't love me. What is it about? This is your show that you're going for. What is it about? So I told him about the comedy that I was doing and all that. So he asked me, he said, I thought you wanted to be an actor. I said, yes, I do, but I'm doing this alongside it. He said, and you are still in school too? I said, yes, sir. He said, I want you to wake up. The Yoruba people have a problem. I call Imeji Bonole. I think I mentioned this at this assembly. And I think that I translated it. It means that if you're a blacksmith, you don't work on two pieces of metal or iron at the same time. You know, a blacksmith will put the metal in the fire and he will hammer it once it got to a malleable state. And the proverb in Yoruba says that a blacksmith, there's a particular temperature where the metal hits to, where the blacksmith has to work on it. He cannot do it before and he cannot do it after. He has to do it at that point. Otherwise, he will ruin the metal and not get the result that he was going for. So he had to be watching it. And he had to pump air into the fire through the bellows and do all that. And bring it out and he lays out the hammer and then put it in cold water. The illustration with that proverb was that a blacksmith cannot do the same thing to two pieces of metal at the same time. Put them in the fire at the same time, watch them at the same time, and as soon as they hit the temperature, bring them out, then hammer this, then quickly hammer that. In the end, it will lose both. It's also the same source wisdom that says that you don't chase two rats at the same time. You understand? You don't chase two rats at the same time. Like the Yoruba say, which is wonderful. They say you shouldn't pursue two rats, but you can kill two birds with one stone. Rats that you and the rat are on ground, you shouldn't pursue it. But two birds that are flying where you cannot fly, they encourage you to use one stone to kill two. But let's leave that at the point. You cannot do two things at the same time. Okay? What that means is that I found that a lot of people, they don't invest themselves in their dreams. They come to me all the time. I'm a banker in a bank, but I have the skill to do comedy. It's my passion. I want to be an MC. I want to do comedy. And it's what I really want to do. So how can you help me? And the first thing I tell them, quit your job. I have a wife and 3 children. Sir, I can't quit my job. Life only responds and gives to those who invest in life. Whatever you do part-time will give you part-time returns. All the time. There's nothing you do part-time that will give you full-time returns. That which you do full-time is what gives you full-time returns. You understand? Now, there is nothing wrong with moving a bit. Sometimes it's not advisable to just jump from here to here. So you have to move a bit. So the guy that I told to quit his job, I didn't expect him to go the next day to quit. However, I expected him to have an exit plan. Sure. You know what? I will do this for another 1 year. I will do this for another 2 years while doing all I can to get ready for my comedy career. Therefore, as a doctor who wants to go into this kind of entrepreneurship for healthcare and agriculture, you cannot view it as that thing that you are doing on the side, that if it picks up, if and when it picks up, you will not drop your stethoscope and just jump into the same level of... People don't like pain. People always like to move from one level of comfort to the same parallel level of comfort in their next endeavor. That is akin to trying to go from one mountaintop to another mountaintop without coming to the valley first. That's where people miss it. You want to jump from the top of this tree to the top of that tree there. You just want to live like a monkey. Perhaps you can pull it off. Or perhaps you enjoy yourself. It makes more sense for you to come down that tree, walk to the other tree, and climb it. You understand? So people don't like pain, people don't like discomfort. So when you tell them they have to put a lot of emphasis on that which they are going to do, or leave what they are going to do, or leave that area of comfort, they want to remain there for as long as possible. And that right there is where they are stuck for the rest of their lives. You understand? So, first of all, you have to start with what you have, do what the best you can. And you also have to realize that it cannot be part-time. That which you call part-time will always give you part-time returns. At every point in my life when I wanted to move from one level to the other, I viewed the forward level as the level. I viewed the current level as the past level. even though you don't know. You people are still calling me a comedian and a talk show host. You people don't know that I've left it behind. Secret for you. But it seems that way to you. Which is why I keep investing myself in this. I'm not doing this as something that I'm doing on the side. And so if this one picks up, and then I will step out of that one. You have to remove the crown you are currently wearing to wear another one, or do you wear a crown on top of the one you're wearing? In short, do not be afraid of the discomfort that you are surely going to feel if you're leaving one level to the other. That is the answer that most people are looking for. How not to suffer. How to leave the banking job and go into the fashion business that is your talent. Because every time people walk into the bank, you size up their suits. I know that suit is not correct. Only you know you should go with a tie that the lapel goes to the widest part of the tie where it meets the chest. Only you know that man should wear a tie pin or a tie tap and not a tie bar. Only you know that the color of the tie should match the color of the breast handkerchief, but it shouldn't be the same exact. Only you know all those things. And yet you're a banker and you want to do fashion. Then you go and meet Bracola on your street. Bracola wear the colors you wear. Then Bracola says, okay, sure, I'm here from Monday to Friday. Bracola, don't close. We don't close until 9. And by the time I get home, I'm too tired and all that. And so I don't know how we're going to do it, sir. And then Bracola tells you that, okay, good, why don't you come on weekends? And so you start coming on weekends first. And then Bracola starts to give you things to do. But then you don't come for 2 weekends, or 3 weekends. What happened now? I told you to come and that. Bracola, we had training in the office, sir. And then after that, the other weekend, I was tired and all that. Okay, go and do this again. 1 month later, what happened? Bracola, my boss was complaining in the office. You are not going anywhere. It is that level of discomfort that people always run away from. Not only because of discomfort, because people will call them fools. They are going to tell you out there, doctor, are you not a real doctor? Are you an animal doctor? Is he a real doctor? They are a real doctor. They are going to call you out there. After how many years of medical school, you are now going to go and start taking care of chickens and turkeys and animal husbandry and agriculture and all those kind of things. Watch, look, you will still come back and beg us. And truly, when things are tight, did we not tell you? Pass a man, we feed them a beggar cream, then must say how. That is precisely what most people run away from. The pain, they think that they are going to just go from one level to the other. Phew! Doesn't work that way.
I have a dream that someday I'll be the super sun, will be the super sun. I have a dream that someday I'll be the super sun, will be the super sun. What up, everybody? My name is Bez. Keep watching True Story. Be inspired.
Teju inspires the youth to create possibilities in this classroom edition of True Story. Be inspired. Answering a question by one of the youth on how one can sustain his or her idea. According to him, it is important to put your ideas down on paper.
Some of the most brilliant ideas I've had, in retrospect, they don't seem so brilliant. The enemy is going to come after you, whoever you portray, whoever you would think your enemy is. Whatever it is you have identified the enemy of your life or soul or career or dreams that is going to come after you. Some of the most brilliant ideas that I have had, ideas that kept me awake with their excitement, that kept me at balls, that I went to wake my wife up and say, come and hear. Some of the most brilliant ideas that I've had, that had me rolling on the ground and praying and doing praise and worship. 2 days after, they sounded to me like the most stupid things I've ever thought of. It happens to the biggest of the generals you see out there making things happen. Which is why the book of wisdom says that those who know their source, they shall do exploits. When you are a boss, which is why it is said that write the vision down, make it plain, that may run that reads it. If every time you get a boss and you keep it in your head, that is the boss that is not going to happen. You must always write it down. Whatever the boss is at that point, write it down. Confirm it on paper. So that when you go back and read it, no matter how difficult it looks or how stupid it looks, just have it there. When you go back again, because that's how life is, when you go back again, you look and read it, it has become brilliant all of a sudden again. The book of wisdom in one of the books says that he is not a respecter of persons. Have you heard that before? I didn't really understand that verse. If he's not a respecter of persons, why are things always going well for that person? And for the other person, not quite. It is because one person is working in purpose. And it's not all the time that you even know that you are working in purpose. So every time you have an idea, the first thing I must tell you is confirm it. There's a woman that wrote a book, and Klaus, I'll get that before. It's called Write It Down and Make It Happen. I didn't believe in that theory before. But always write it down. That shows that you're serious about what you saw. If you're going to leave it only in your excitement, it will go. Human emotions are very chemically induced. Have you noticed that some days you wake up and you are just happy? Especially women. My wife wakes up some days I'm the best guy in the world. She's just happy. The very next day, and it happens to everybody. Some days you wake up, the sun is shining bright. It doesn't even matter. If it's raining, the rain is raining dark. It doesn't matter. You are very happy. You don't know why. It's just a good day. The very next day, the same weather. You wake up and life is not just even going the way you want it to go at all. If you're going to base your impact in life on the way you are feeling, part time, you are not going very far. Which is why you must always write it down. You see, have you heard this thing said before? That to succeed, you must have your goals. And you must write down your goals and then write down how to make them happen. Nonsense. Absolute balderdash. You must know, you must have a definite goal of where you are going and write it down. Have you read that before? Enough times. You must have a goal of where you are going, then write it down. And then you have to be able to write down how to get it. Then why do you need faith if you know where you're going? There are people in positions right now that had no idea that they were going to get there. Why do you think when they get Oscars and Grammys, they get there and they start crying? I never thought I would get it. Who sees life like that and sees where they are going and are able to plot it? Faith has been told to you, has been sold to you as the way of achieving what you have seen. That is good and right. Faith in itself is also the vehicle for even seeing anything in the first place. That you saw something is a proof that you have faith. So these things you read, and they tell you at the back of some chapters, you see exercises. Write down your 10-year plans and write down your 5. I wrote one down many years ago. I didn't achieve one. One I did achieve. I wrote it down many years ago. Write down things you want to achieve. By 2008, I want to have a service apartment in Ikoyi. Look, we're dealing with the here and now. As far as I'm concerned, the one thing you need to have to succeed is a hunger. A hunger that refuses to accept mediocrity. You are not just going to be like most of these Nigerians who are just going to just have small success. You hunger to succeed. That coupled with morals and the sense for a higher plane, knowing that you're not put here for just yourself and your own consumption. So once you have that hunger and the sense of a higher plane that knows that whatever it is you achieve is not for your own, but for everyone, once you have those two things, you will succeed. As long as you have this hunger in you, forget all those other things you read in books. Now, they are good for the general knowledge and worldview that they teach. For example, if you read in a book abroad, as I have read, and I shared in one of the meetings where Brian Sher said in his book, what rich people know and desperately want to keep secrets that most people do not actually want to rip you off. You see, again, that is not true. He's saying it from Australia. Around here, you cannot. So when you take those things from abroad, you have to distill them. I think that is what my ministry is about. To help you distill those things.
What's up, people? My name is Chidinma, aka Miss KDK, and you're on to True Story. And this is all about inspiration. It's all about inspiring you and me. I want to say to you guys to keep being inspired, keep learning, keep loving what you do, and trust me, the sky is just a button.
He believes it is hard to find youth that have been equipped with success mindset. He says they always want the fast way out.
You'll be hard pressed to find youth that have been equipped with a success mindset. I don't know how this generation has been bequeathed with this sense of mediocrity and quick fixes. I don't know how we got to this point. I really don't understand. I know this because I've sought to employ people. And every time you gather the youth to you and you look for true value, you're disappointed time and again as you find that what is being churned out of the higher institution is not only not only is it not academically sound, in itself it is not also hungry enough. So that if on one hand we're doing a concert and this person is playing and that person is playing and this person is performing, it will be a full house. But on the other hand, if we're talking and speaking and inspiring youth about how to make it here, you'll find about a tenth of the same people. Now, it's a problem that has spanned generations, I'm told. But you would have thought that in this age where so much is at your fingertips, where you can achieve 50 times faster what your fathers could not, you would have thought that succeeding would be that much more. Especially as the heroes of the youth are people who have gone on to exploits. People like Mark Zuckerberg. They can claim for, they can code for you now, Bill Gates and all that. And yet they do not follow the principles of those peoples of those people and the success that they have engendered. So for the youth, I'm saying that there's so many brilliant people out there, but that number relative to the number of those who are not as brilliant and who lack the success drive is rather small. However, the good news is that in seasoning a whole pot or a whole vat of soup, you do not need seasoning relative to the amount of soup, at least in size. Just a cube of seasoning will sweeten the whole pot, true or not. So perhaps if you have 5% population of the youth who actually have the drive, the hunger to succeed, then perhaps they'll sweeten the whole pot. Because after all, it's called the Pareto principle. 80% of the things that happen come from 20% effort. You said?
It's 20.
Yes, it's 20. 80% of the things that happen come as a result of 20% effort. So 20% of the youth will influence the 80%. So having said all that, the bottom line is I'm not worried. You will always find the champions of every generation and they will come forth. Look, we all know that our government hasn't done what it is supposed to do. But that is like me telling you that I'm 5 feet 7 inches and therefore if I want to reach the top of this television to connect a wire, I have to find something to climb upon. And so if I cannot find something to climb upon, then I start blaming God or the person who hung the television for not hanging it lower. I know my limitations already. Deal with it. You know you live in Nigeria where the government doesn't enable you. Deal with it. Everything has its own look. There's nothing that is all sweet. Even in places where their government has helped them, there are still limitations. For example, in all those places where the government has helped them, there are not as many opportunities to become unusually rich. Do you know that? So the government hasn't done what it's supposed to do. We know that. However, people still succeed here, so deal with it.